In Australia, over 40,000 men and women are currently behind bars. They've shattered countless lives, destroyed families. Some have been responsible for unspeakable violence.
There are just some people that are just evil of heart.
She's just scary. She's just real scary.
Some people are born with just that evil gene.
If you think you've seen and heard it all, you haven't. The truth of life behind bars in some of Australia's highest security prisons, told by the people who know.
It's dangerous on a daily basis. It's life-threatening.
Stabbings, hangings, people getting their heads stomped on.
If I was dangerous when I went in, I was more dangerous when I came out.
In this episode,
and he said, I've got to wash all Carl's brains off me.
The barbaric killer who murdered gangland boss Carl Williams inside prison.
I acted alone.
She was driven by sex and she was driven by greed.
And the suburban housewife who turned Black Widow killer.
Michelle Burgess told him to be a man and to kill Carolyn Matthews.
This is 21-year-old Paul Charles Denyer, otherwise known as the Frankston serial killer. In 1993, he terrorised the Melbourne suburb of Frankston, killing 3 young women. 18-year-old Elizabeth Stevens, who was walking home from the bus stop. Deborah Freem, a mum with a 12-day-old baby. And 17-year-old schoolgirl Natalie Russell. All were stabbed multiple times. Denyer's killing spree lasted 7 weeks before police arrested him. Today he's serving 3 life sentences in Port Phillip Prison, Victoria's largest maximum security detention centre, holding 1,100 prisoners. Ash Langsworth is a former correctional officer who's had dealings with Denyer in prison.
He mixed in the circles of other prisoners that did a similar crime to him.
One of Denyer's friends in Port Phillip Prison is Julian Knight, who shot 7 dead in 1987 in the Hoddle Street Massacre. Vicky Petratus is a crime author who's written a book on Denyer.
Julian Knight had a copy of his police file and Paul had a copy of his police file, and they would look at each other's crime scene pictures and could be heard to be laughing about them. And that's disturbing beyond measure.
I believe 100% in violence in violent places.
That's Paul O'Sullivan, another former correctional officer who's had dealings with Denyer.
People like Denyer get absolutely tortured. The prisoners burned him.
Paul Denyer killed 3 women in 1993, but there would have been a 4th killing if it wasn't for fate.
He was polite, he always said hello and seemed a little bit shy.
This is Gloria Vaines. Her daughter Donna was a neighbour of Denyer's in 1993.
Paul was sort of interested in her as a friend. Maybe he had plans then, I don't know.
Denyer definitely had plans. And if it wasn't for the sheer luck that Donna had gone out for the evening with her husband Les, she would have felt the full force of them.
The flat was just ransacked and there was just blood everywhere.
When they arrive home, Donna and Les are confronted with the most horrendous sight. Her cats have been slaughtered and disemboweled.
There was kind of a cat-shaped smudge on the wall to suggest that the cat had been thumped into the wall. And the 2 kittens had been killed in the laundry.
But Donna and Les freeze with fear when they see what's scrawled on the wall.
There was a death threat on the wall that had been done in the cat's blood, saying, "Donna, you're dead."
State emergency service workers and police swarmed across Lloyd Recreation Park in Langwarrin today. They were searching for the murder weapon used to cut the woman's throat.
It's now 4 months since Donna's cats were butchered. And just 5 kilometres away, the body of 18-year-old Elizabeth Stevens has been found in a drain. Denya has savagely stabbed Elizabeth in the neck multiple times and carved a sickening crisscross pattern into her neck and stomach.
She had just come over to Melbourne to live with family over here.
Elizabeth's murder is a tragedy, and the local community is in utter shock and disbelief. And that trauma escalates when Denya strikes again just 4 weeks later.
Once Debbie was taken, there was mass panic.
Police have confirmed the body of a young woman found on a roadside southeast of Melbourne is that of missing Seaford mother Deborah Freem. She'd died in a frenzied knife attack.
They knew there was a really good chance that Elizabeth and Debbie had been killed by the same type of offender because they had the same types of injuries. People were absolutely terrified. You would go to the video store and you would be looking sideways and going, is it him, is it him?
I can't really say it's someone crazy. I believe it's someone who knows what he's doing. He's doing it for kicks.
It's now Friday the 30th of July, 3 weeks after the murder of Deborah Freem. 17-year-old student Natalie Russell leaves John Paul College for her walk home around 2:30. It is a walk she'll never complete.
There was a track that goes between the two golf courses, and of course all the kids cut through the track. So she's walking along the track and she's targeted.
Natalie's every move is being watched by Denya using a pair of binoculars. He's sitting in his car, smoking cigarettes close to the track. But with the whole of the community on edge, Denya's presence hasn't gone unnoticed.
There was a postal worker who's delivering the mail and thinks he looks suspicious. Kind of goes past him, has a good look, knocks on the door of a house, says, "Can I use your phone and call the police?"
The police don't arrive for 15 minutes. And in that time, Paul Denya slips out of the car and is lurking down the track in bushland, waiting for Natalie behind a hole in the fence that separates the golf courses. And this hole in the fence isn't there by chance. Denya had come to this spot earlier that morning and cut out several of them. Natalie now passes him, and he follows her. Denya grabs her around the mouth and pushes a knife into her neck, dragging her through another hole in the fence. He now uses the strap from his binoculars to strangle Natalie so violently it snaps. As Natalie struggles, he forces her onto the ground, snaps back her head and slits her throat. He then repeatedly stabs her in the neck with such force that he almost severs her head. As a final act of contempt, Denya stomps on her back as he leaves and heads back to his car.
The devastation that he left was so wide and so profound that it will ripple for generations.
After Natalie fails to come home, her parents are increasingly concerned. At 8 p.m, they call police and report their daughter missing. Cops find her body just after 11 p.m.
The two cops that checked the car immediately put 2 and 2 together. Then they put it into the computer and Paul Charles Denya name comes up.
Denya is arrested at home the next day and brought in for questioning.
Are you responsible for the deaths of any of these women?
No.
But as the detectives begin to probe further, Denya can feel the noose around his neck beginning to tighten.
I noticed a number of cuts on your fingers.
Yeah.
Can you just put your hands flat on the desk here, so that, just right up here. This injury here is a long sort of a cut. Just explain how you got that injury and when you got that injury.
I got it yesterday when I was working on the car.
By now, Natalie Russell has had a post-mortem examination and the pathologist has found a piece of skin that they know doesn't belong to her.
Again, you're not obliged to give a sample of your hair as you've been explained to you in relation to your blood and fingerprints. Will you give us a sample of your hair?
If Denya agrees, his DNA will undoubtedly match the skin found in Natalie Russell's post-mortem, and the cops will have the proof he's the killer. Coming up on Australia's most dangerous prisoners, what Paul Denya does in prison will leave you gobsmacked.
He wants to get into a women's prison so he can have female victims.
Again, you're not obliged to give a sample of your hair as you've been explained to you in relation to your blood and fingerprints.
It's 12:44 a.m. on August the 1st, 1993. Multiple murder suspect Paul Denya is being interviewed by police. If he agrees to give a DNA sample, the cops are pretty certain it'll match a piece of skin found on Natalie Russell's body.
Will you give us a sample of your hair? All right then.
The police have been interviewing Denya for 3.5 hours, and he's had an answer for everything. But when they take a break, that changes.
Is it true that in the break you called Detective O'Loughlin aside and told him that you were responsible for the murders of the 3 women that you and I spoke of earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Denya now tells the detectives everything. First, about murdering Elizabeth Stevens on Friday, June the 11th. He'd later show police the fake gun he used to terrify and control her.
Was that the weapon you used when you first approached Elizabeth Stevens?
Yeah, that's the one.
Before he repeatedly stabbed her to death.
Tell me why you attacked her on that night.
Just wanted to kill.
Denya then tells the cops how he strangled and stabbed Deborah Freem.
Why did you kill her?
Same reason why I killed Elizabeth Stevens. I just wanted to.
Now Denya chillingly confesses that had Donna Vaines been home that night in February, she would have been the first to be killed.
You went to Donna's flat in Claude Street to kill her.
Yeah.
And she wasn't home.
No, she wasn't home.
So you broke in and what'd you do?
I killed a cat.
Later, he takes police to the bike track where he butchered Natalie Russell.
I walked along the grass like this and make a sound.
So you wouldn't be heard?
Yeah. And when she got about 10 metres down the track here, I came out of the fence. I grabbed her here around the mouth,
yeah,
in the left hand, like this.
Yeah.
I dragged her through here.
There are moments where he's completely sort of deadpan, but then you get the chills when you get these glimpses into his soul.
I've been following heaps of women around. Just waiting for that opportunity. Waiting for the sign.
Denya never got that opportunity again. He's been incarcerated since December 1993 and is today in Port Phillip Prison in Victoria.
Port Phillip is a modern prison, opened in 1997.
Most inmates share cells, which have a shower, sink, toilet, television and kettle. Denya is held in the prison's protection unit and has a cell to himself, to minimise the chance of him being attacked.
He went to work every day, Monday to Friday.
Working prisoners typically do a 5-day, 30-hour week. Depending on the job, they'll earn between $25 to $70 in that time.
He's doing sewing for the prison system, curtains for the prison cells. prisoner clothing. He'd go to work and do all that type of stuff.
When he's not working, Denya hangs out in the prison's day room and recreation area. He even has access to a tea room.
You learn all about him over the period of the next 15 years when I was working there.
Despite Correctional Officer Ash Langsworth knowing Denya well, he had no inkling of what the killer would do in 2003.
Posing for a photo sporting ponytails and plucked eyebrows, Paul Denya has once again grabbed headlines from inside prison. The self-confessed woman hater was recently assessed for a sex change operation.
He wants to get into a women's prison so he can have female victims.
We had to call him Paula or Miss. Well, I'm just going to call him Denya. I'm not getting into that.
It's estimated around 400 prisoners in Australia are transgender. But not all are held in prisons that align with their gender identity, meaning trans women could be held in male prisons. In 2004, Denya demands to have gender reassignment surgery and dresses as a woman.
Using dirt and moisturiser for foundation, using pollen and Vaseline, and using cigarette butts rubbed onto fingernails to stain them yellow. Paula would also manipulate the prison uniform to turn it into skirts.
Denya's bid for a sex change is quickly denied.
Intel that I've got now is that he no longer identifies as Paula and that he's firmly back as Paul.
Denya did a large part of his sentence at Barwon Prison, as did our next dangerous prisoner, Matthew Charles Johnson. Johnson murdered one of Australia's most notorious crime lords in 2010.
Carl Williams was serving life inside Barwon Prison. Today, that's where his life ended.
Matthew Johnson was sentenced to life for the murder of Carl Williams.
And today, he's still serving that time in Barwon, a high-risk, maximum security prison in Victoria that holds nearly 500 prisoners. Barwon was opened in 1990 and has over 10 separate accommodation units. Some hold Australia's most high-security prisoners. Others segregate at-risk inmates due to the nature of their crimes. Author and crime podcaster Michelle Laurie.
He runs his life from there. He runs his business from there. He talks to his mum every day on the phone. His kids bring their kids in to visit him.
And on the inside, Johnson is top dog, king of the prison.
He's made this prison gang up called the Prisoner of Wars. And he calls himself the general of that gang.
It's really his whole world. It's very, very serious to Johnson.
Their philosophy was very black and white. Screws were the same as the cops. You don't talk to cops, you don't talk to the screws. His code is completely hate officers.
He knows how to play the game, and in prison, he's pretty smart.
Johnson may be smart behind bars, but back in the early 90s, when he was a petty crook, he was far from a criminal mastermind.
He had done 3 stretches in Pentridge by the time he was 21 years old.
Soon Johnson's crimes become increasingly violent. He goes down for 6 years in 1998.
He's breaking into people's homes with a knife, and he's threatening to stab people for their money and their valuables.
This is known as the trial from hell. Johnson is accused of the attempted murder of a fellow inmate in Barwon Prison in 2000, and he's found guilty.
The really interesting point about this case is that Matthew Johnson was accused of using a part of a bike, an exercise bike, in an attack. Remember that? That will become pertinent.
He's a nasty piece of work and he's extremely evil. Everyone knows that Matt Johnson doesn't like people that assist the police.
In 2007, Johnson is back in prison, and in May that year, Carl Williams is sentenced to life for ordering the murders of 3 high-profile underworld rivals.
He knew that there were a lot of people with a lot of reasons to get to him, so he asked the authorities if he could be in the unit with Matthew Johnson. So Carl trusted Matthew and he felt safe.
But facing the rest of his life in Barwon Prison, Williams decides to turn dog. That is, he begins to rat out his fellow criminals.
If there's one thing you can't be in jail, it's a dog. You can't be telling on other prisoners. And obviously, not only does he genuinely hate that, Johnson, but he can't be seen to be mates with a dog.
It's now the 19th of April 2010, inside Barwon Prison's maximum security Acacia unit. Carl Williams is at this moment in the recreational area, reading a newspaper, and he's the big news.
On the front page of the Herald Sun, Carl Williams' daughter, Dakota, was attending private school, and it was all being paid for by Victoria Police.
At 12:58, Johnson appears behind Williams, holding the metal stem of an exercise bike, the same weapon he'd used 10 years earlier to nearly beat a fellow inmate to death. His intent is clear. And today, there'll be no nearly about it. After the break, Johnson's bizarre confession.
He asked for a shower, and I asked him what for. And he said, I've got to wash all Carl's brains off me.
It's 12:48 p.m. on the 19th of April 2010 in Barwon Prison. Matthew Johnson is about to attack gangland boss Carl Williams, who's reading a newspaper story exposing him for being a police informant.
Carl was literally sitting at the table reading that newspaper, reading that Herald Sun.
Williams is first hit on the right side of his head. He goes down hard onto the floor, face first. Johnson now bashes him another 7 times.
Matty dragged him back into the cell. Got a towel, soaked up the blood on the floor outside and threw the towel over him.
After murdering Williams, Johnson walks around the exercise yard. Guards don't find Williams' body for 30 minutes, and only after Johnson fronts up to them.
Matty went up to a female officer and said, "Excuse me, miss, don't get upset, but I think you need to have a look at Carl, he's had a fall." And then all hell went loose.
Ambulance officers arrived within 2 minutes of the call to find Carl Williams critically ill after an altercation with at least one other inmate.
And as a result of those injuries that have been inflicted on Mr. Williams, he subsequently died. Have you got any comment to make about that?
No comment.
Johnson is interviewed later that night, around 8 p.m.
Is there anything further you'd like to say in regards to the death at this stage?
Just I acted alone.
Sorry?
I acted alone.
The following day, I was instructed by prison supervisor to get a urine collection sample off Johnson. He said nothing towards me until he finished the sample, and then he asked for a shower. Then I asked him what for, and he said, "I've got to wash all Carl's brains off me." And he goes, "What's the problem, boss? People die every day."
Former correctional officer and ex-con Ash Langsworth is in no doubt why Williams was killed.
So he killed Carl because he doesn't like those type of people.
Matthew Johnson's cool exterior masks an appetite for violence. He gave away nothing as Justice Lex Lasry sentenced him to life in jail for the murder of Carl Williams.
Johnson gets 32 years. A scathing ombudsman's report blasts Corrections Victoria, the organisation that runs Barwon, for putting Williams with Johnson in the same cell unit.
I was asked if that murder could have been avoided. I said absolutely it could have.
Ash Langsworth also puts himself directly in Johnson's firing line.
Because I gave evidence against Matthew Johnson, they gave me death threats, and I feared for my life.
A convicted hitman now confronted Ash.
Rodney Earl Collins, I'll never forget that. He said, "You're a dead man, Mr. Langsworth, just you wait and see."
Violence against male and female prison guards is common.
The role of a correctional officer is a very dangerous job. It has its perils.
In 2022, there was an assault on a guard in New South Wales prisons once every 2 days.
I was assaulted by an inmate. We were moving her from one cell to another cell. She took exception to the male officer, and she was hitting me repeatedly in the head, trying to get to him and push past me. My jaw was nearly broken. Had scratches down my face, bruises on my body.
Don't go out there thinking I can't be touched, because I promise you 6 to 10 guys will do you in seconds. I'm not talking about minutes, 30 seconds, that's it.
Myself and another officer, female officer, were sent to a prisoner in hospital. We'd received intel that she had contraband in her bed. When I lifted the pillow, there was a glove and it was full of stuff. I grabbed it, she grabbed it, and there was a tussle. And she pulled my hand close to her mouth. She bit my hand, and she bit hard. I had to undergo blood testing every 3 months for a year.
For some correctional officers, the job can be even more treacherous.
A prison officer has died after being bashed by an inmate. Senior Officer Wayne Smith had been in hospital with head injuries for 6 weeks, but died last night.
On this particular day, a Senior Correctional Officer, Wayne Smith, escorted an inmate by the name of Carl Edward Little down to a holding area. At this point, Little spat at Officer Smith and then violently attacked him. The inmate continued to assault SCO Smith while he was laying motionless on the ground. Continued to kick him into the head region, into the chest area, continued to stomp him. He was one of 12 officers that we've lost over the years.
Coming up, Michelle Burgess, the ordinary housewife who can get men to do anything she wants.
She is a black widow. She's someone who uses sex as a weapon and as a tool to get what she wants. She was driven by sex and she was driven by greed.
This is Michelle Burgess, an ordinary suburban Adelaide housewife whose hold over men will ultimately result in murder. Author Abe Madison.
Michelle knew how to make a man feel desired. She knew how to look at him in just the right way.
And that power, in true Black Widow style, would ultimately convince a weak man to kill her lover's wife. In 2001, 37-year-old Carolyn Matthews was slaughtered in her own home, repeatedly stabbed over 40 times. Burgess would ultimately be found guilty of her murder and is currently serving a 30-year sentence here in Adelaide Women's Prison, a jail that holds over 230 prisoners that are high, medium and low risk.
I believe she came across as the mum.
This is Jennifer Cashow, a former corrections officer who's had dealings with Burgess.
Very easy to have a conversation with because she had a great sense of humour. I did like her. And I would joke and say, well, we're kind of like family, aren't we? She's like, Auntie Michelle Burgess.
Burgess may seem harmless now, but 20 years ago, she wrecked the lives of a once happy family. This is the Matthews family home in West Lakes, Adelaide. It's the 12th of July, 2001. In the kitchen, 3 teenage boys have just found their mother, Carolyn, bloody and unresponsive, in what they think is a suicide attempt. But their father, Kevin Matthews, who is also there, knows exactly why his wife is lying dead in their blood-soaked kitchen. And to understand how this happened, we need to delve into the mind of Michelle Burgess and her relationship with Kevin Matthews.
He had a wife that loved him, 3 boys who adored him. Kevin Matthews had everything, including a wandering eye.
And it's this wandering eye that leads to Kevin Matthews becoming entangled in Burgess's deadly web.
It's actually quite hard to keep track of how many affairs Michelle had.
Burgess's 8-year marriage to her husband Darren is anything but happy. Darren Burgess is an assistant manager of a Bow Repairs tyre shop in Port Adelaide. His boss and regional manager is Kevin Matthews. A meeting between Michelle Burgess and Kevin Matthews became inevitable.
The pivotal moment came when Michelle Burgess has visited Kevin in his office one day and put it to him that she would like to be his mistress. And they had sex in his office there that day.
As the affair intensifies, so does Burgess's envy. And that focus is all on Carolyn Matthews, Kevin Matthews' wife.
Michelle perhaps imagined stepping in and living Carolyn's life. And that's what she set about doing in recruiting David Key and trying to find a way to have Carolyn killed.
David Key is a small-time criminal, the brother of one of Burgess's friends.
He said to her, I'll kill your husband and I'll kill your lover's wife for 50 grand, 25 apiece.
David Key has never done anything like this before. He's just a petty criminal. But Burgess uses sex to get what she wants.
When Michelle Burgess would look at a man, he would see in her eyes that there was sex there. David had fairly simple needs. All he's interested in is getting some sex.
Burgess is now sleeping with both Key and Kevin Matthews. And Matthews is fully behind the plan to kill his wife.
David Key's not so good with details, so the details had to be written down for him. Who it was he was supposed to be killing, where it was they lived, what they looked like. So Michelle helpfully gave him all these details, what was literally a murder contract.
Having waited long enough, Burgess decides that today's the day and demands the killing happens tonight.
But there's a complication, and that is his 3 sons. So Kevin's idea is that he'll take his boys to the video store and create a window of opportunity for David Key and Michelle Burgess to come to the home and commit the murder.
At 5:25, Kevin Matthews phones home and speaks to Carolyn. He arranges to pick up his son, while Burgess and Key drive to his West Lakes home.
And the entire time, Michelle is goading him, telling him, you are not a man, you are weak. And he's angry, he's really angry.
At 5:40, Kevin Matthews picks up his sons, and not long after, Burgess and Key arrive. Carolyn is leaving the house to take out the recycling. In a furious rage, Key confronts Carolyn on the doorstep with Burgess in tow, holding the murder contract.
And said, is this you? Is this your address? And Carolyn confirmed that it was, and they pushed her back into the house. Michelle Burgess took a large Wiltshire kitchen knife and told him to be a man and to kill Carolyn Matthews. And it's at that point that David Key has grabbed the knife from Michelle Burgess's hand and started attacking. But Carolyn Matthews did not go down without a fight.
Coming up on Australia's most dangerous prisoners, Michelle Burgess gets caught out with the biggest lie of her life.
So you deny ever having an affair as such with Kevin Matthews?
Yes. We never had an affair. Never had.
It's July the 12th, 2001. Carolyn Matthews is being repeatedly stabbed in her kitchen by hitman David Key as Michelle Burgess goads him on. Burgess is having an affair with this man, Kevin Matthews, and she wants Kevin's wife dead.
Carolyn Matthews did not go down without a fight. She grabbed a frying pan and she tried to defend herself, and she begged for her life. But David Key did not stop. There were more than 40 separate injuries found on Carolyn Matthews' body. She never stood a chance.
Kevin Matthews receives a 3-second phone call to his mobile, a signal to say, job done. Matthews now drives home.
Kevin stays in the car and lets his 3 boys walk into that home alone, and he knows that they're going to find the body of their mother in there. It's just horrendous.
The boys, aged 12, 13 and 16, attempted CPR, but it was too late. Mrs. Matthews died from extensive injuries to her chest and hands.
Police are suspicious that Matthews is having an affair with Burgess from the moment he's questioned on the night of the murder.
And you can categorically say that you did not have an affair with her? I can categorically say I did not have an affair with her. Did you have any part whatsoever in killing your wife? No.
The police put Matthews, Burgess and Key all under surveillance. But it's Key who's arrested first after being pulled over for speeding. He's wearing the same boots he wore on the night of the murder, and the cops match it to a print at the scene. Once questioned, he tells them everything.
Can you just repeat what she said?
It's got to be done tonight.
What do you think she meant by that?
Murder of Carolyn Matthews.
Key now tells the cops what he did with the murder contract that Burgess had given him.
Tore it all up, spread it all over my sandwich, and I ate it.
Why did you do that?
If they can't find a document with the photos and details on it, then it never existed.
While Key tells all, Kevin Matthews puts in an Oscar-worthy performance, playing the part of a doting husband and father robbed of his idyllic life.
Just don't know what you got till you miss it. You honestly don't. And don't get me wrong, I mean, just we have our tithers and the kids are stressful, but you really just don't know what you got until you miss it.
Burgess, in typical Black Widow style, denies everything.
So you deny ever having an affair as such with Kevin Matthews?
Yes, we never had an affair. Never had.
We had some information that Kevin had asked you to be his mistress.
No.
Did you go to Kevin Matthews' house that night?
No, I did not.
Did you go there with David Key?
No, I did not.
But Burgess realises the police have overwhelming evidence of her involvement in the murder.
Blood has been found on one of the boots that belonged to David Key, and that blood is Carolyn Matthews' blood. Do you have any idea how that may have got there?
I would not have a clue.
You understand what the implication of that is?
Cool. Yeah.
What's that?
Well, then if Dave did kill her, then it'd be me as well with him or something like that.
The police charge Burgess with Carolyn's murder. And before Kevin Matthews is finally arrested, he shows up on the first day of his lover's trial.
Kevin Matthews has turned up to court that day wearing a white floppy hat, which he has written the word forever on. Kevin was there for Michelle. He wasn't there for his wife.
2 years after the murder, Michelle Burgess and Kevin Matthews are sentenced to 30 years in prison. David Key gets 20.
Michelle Burgess was an absolute model prisoner. She was a hard worker. She always wanted to be working, whether it was in the kitchen or within her unit.
Burgess also has the opportunity to make products such as clothing, blankets and arts and crafts as part of the jobs program at Adelaide Women's Prison. But despite this apparent turnaround by Burgess, her Black Widow story hasn't actually ended. She's still at it behind bars.
She was having sex with male guards in exchange for favours.
After the break, not content with wrecking one family, Michelle Burgess destroys another.
A prison guard actually quit his job, left his wife, and started visiting Michelle in prison on a regular basis. Michelle Burgess was not a good wife, and she was not a good mother, and she was not somebody who could be trusted.
Black Widow killer Michelle Burgess has spent the last 2 decades doing time in Adelaide Women's Prison for the murder of her lover's wife, Carolyn Matthews.
It's hard to say she was a good person, but she never ever threatened or intimidated or argued with any of us staff.
That's what Burgess is like with the women staff. It's a whole different situation with the men.
There was reports made and suspicions that she was having sex with male guards in exchange for favours.
The male staff were told quite clearly, this is potentially what could happen and don't fall for the trap. She had something about her that men found attractive.
The prison did have to institute a rule whereby she was not allowed to be alone with male officers.
But one correctional officer has found himself snared in Burgess's dangerous web.
A prison officer had been lured into a bit of a relationship with her when she was working in the kitchen.
So this prison guard actually quit his job, left his wife, and started visiting Michelle in prison on a regular basis. Michelle made him feel special and wanted, and even though there was no possibility for any further sex, he was still hypnotised by this woman. It's some kind of power.
This correctional officer did break free of Burgess's spell, but not before he'd lost his job and family.
She picked her targets. She picked vulnerable men who liked the attention of women. And when they could see that there was availability there, they were on board straight away with Michelle. He was probably the last in a very long line of men who regretted making the acquaintance of Michelle Burgess.
Paul Denyer, Matthew Johnson and Michelle Burgess are without doubt 3 of Australia's most dangerous prisoners. Their crimes have left a trail of devastation through everyone they've touched.
They created this horrendous reality for all these people around them. They destroyed lives.
Michelle Burgess is 20 years into her 30-year sentence, and despite an apparent change of character, the sheer evilness of her crime can never be forgiven.
Michelle Burgess is a very multifaceted individual. She is a mother. She's an animal lover. She's also guilty of a horrendous crime.
Matthew Johnson's 40-year criminal career has wrecked countless lives. He's spent more of his adult life on the inside than the outside.
Now Matthew Johnson, because he knows he's never getting out, that's where he lives. He's not trying to get parole.
In 1993, Paul Denyer murdered 3 young women. He was denied parole 6 days ago. The idea he could walk free next time has terrorised the victims' families and loved ones.
In May 2023, Denyer makes a bid for parole after 30 years inside. It's refused. And later in October, the Victorian government introduced legislation to stop dangerous prisoners like Denyer applying regularly for parole. It's highly likely he'll die in prison.
For Gloria Vaines, the mother of Donna, who almost became Denyer's first victim, The possibility of parole had terrified her.
Is he going to go looking for our family? Is he going to come looking for me?
Gloria is in no doubt where Denya should be.
There's no cure for him. He hasn't changed in prison. He's not repentant at all.